Welcome to the 21 Lines of Inquiry podcast that's all about helping you discover your UCW, your unique contribution to the world. Join us as we delve into the 21 questions that will help you be more intentional about bringing your gifts into your career and your life overall. So when you're ready, let's get started. Hi, this is Anita, and in this episode, we're going to look at the question, who do you most admire and why? Now, this is a very interesting lens to help you explore your UCW, because often it's easier to see your attributes projected onto another person than in yourself. So paying attention to the people that you genuinely admire or feel drawn to can give you an important clue as to the traits in you that may still be undeveloped or less developed, but they are there nonetheless. So the people you admire could be people you know in your family or friendship circle or at work. They could also be people you don't know personally, but are historical figures or famous or in the public domain in some way. Earlier this week, I was at a friend's house for dinner and the subject of Elon Musk came up. Suddenly, the conversation was polarised. For one person, Elon was a hero, someone to be looked up to and admired. For another, Elon was a villain, and even his name caused a strong allergic reaction. Now, this small example just shows how two people can have a very polarised reaction to another individual. And the point is that part of being human involves having strong reactions to certain people. So paying attention as to who evokes a strong emotional reaction in you can be insightful. And although this question is about who you most admire, noticing who repels you strongly can be equally telling. Attraction and aversion are two sides of the same coin, after all. In fact, I think they say that the opposite of love is not hate, it's indifference. So not even noticing the person. That's food for thought. Well, as I reflect on my own life, I remember in my first job as a lawyer, looking at the partners and feeling I wasn't necessarily repelled by them, but I didn't really admire them or feel drawn to be like them in any way, which was telling in itself. Whereas the people I've always been fascinated by are entrepreneurs, people who set up their own businesses. And I remember for many years, long before I even thought about setting up my own business, the column in the Sunday Times that I was most drawn to was a little column in the business section called How I Made It, which told the story of everyday people who'd set up businesses. And I would get very inspired and excited by reading these. Now, if I reflect on why I admired these people, it wasn't actually anything to do with getting rich quick or making money as such. Making money as an end has never really interested me. Had it done so, I might well have just stayed put in my law firm and become a partner. But it's what money represents that I admire, the fact that it's been earned by an individual creating or offering something of value to the world. And this was an important clue for me that my UCW involved being an entrepreneur in some way. So even though I've had many corporate jobs in my career, I remember the most meaningful money I ever earned was when I started coaching and I charged my first practice client, I remember £20 for a session. And I remember taking the cash that she offered and just looking at it with a sense of amazement. And that shows that for me, earning a small amount of money through my own business was far more rewarding and meaningful to me than a larger amount coming through a paycheck. But if I look at the individuals I've admired the most and been most drawn to, they have certain things in common. So they're always very thoughtful people who have deep values that they try and live by. They forge and follow their own path, and they're humble. They know their gifts, but they also know their limitations, and they try to be respectful of others and the world. So these are the people that I'm most drawn to, those who've not just earned a living, but who've created a life which is right and meaningful for them. So what about you? Take a few minutes now to reflect. Who are the people that you most admire or feel drawn to? Write their names down and try and explore why you admire them. Is it a trait or something that they've achieved or a path that they represent for you? You may even envy them a little bit, and that's not a bad thing in terms of acquiring more self-knowledge for yourself. Often we envy people because they have something that is deeply important to us. So I remember, on a personal note, in my 30s being single and all my friends were married and feeling a bit envious. Funny enough, not because I wanted children, but because I wanted the companionship of a long-term partnership that I believed marriage to represent. So even the people that you envy can give you a good clue as to what matters most to you in your career or life overall. And then if there are any people who repel you, it may also be worth jotting their names down and reflecting on what is it about that person. Maybe it's their values or their perceived values. How do these differ from yours? Again, sometimes seeing the opposite of what we want can be just as enlightening as helping us define what's important to us. So take some time to reflect on what all this may be telling you about your UCW, and when you're ready, I'll see you in the next episode.